everyone, and thank you very much for coming back and joining me. So if you're new to my channel, thank you very much for coming along. You are very welcome to, be in the crazy house basically. So tonight, as you can tell from the title, I am going to be doing a spoiler review of the 6th episode of the Netflix series The Witcher. So I strongly, of course, advise that if you have not seen the series, or if you haven't at least got up to episode 6, then please do me a favour and click out, because, I don't want to be the reason for spoiling it in every way, shape or form, to be quite frankly honest. Now, damn, I just want to first and foremost say that, oh my gosh, this episode was my freaking favourite by a million miles. Like, out of all 8 episodes, there's 8 episodes, of course, I've seen all 8 of them, and damn, the cave fight with the gold dragon was sensational, or as I also like to call it, sen to the sensational. I'm just weird. But that was just absolutely phenomenal, and visually, oh my gosh, the gold dragon was just out of this world. It was something else. Like, I don't mean to sound funny, but that episode was off the chain, like, not even gonna lie, right? Now, personally, for me, I don't know, I just thought overall, landscape was phenomenal. It was the best out of the whole entire 8 episodes. The music was actually, although the music in the landscape has been good, I thought the music from beginning to end for episode 6 was the best in the whole entire series, alongside the landscape. It was definitely giving me Lord of the Rings-esque vibes, which is awesome because I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. And in this episode, we got to see at the beginning of the episode the character, I can't even speak, Borch, and he basically explains that, there's a green dragon that has escaped, and he's sitting talking to Geralt, and I absolutely think no one else could have been better cast for this. Henry Cavill is absolutely fantastic, and I know that the Polish writer of these novels, Andrzej Sapkowski, actually wanted Mads Mikkelsen. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but some of you might be new, especially new subscribers of this week, for example. But yes, I do think he could have played it really well, but now seeing Henry Cavill, really absorbed into this role, I wouldn't have wanted anybody else to have played it. And then, of course, we got to see in this episode that Borch was actually, of course, the Golden Dragon. And I thought it was really cool because from playing all 3 games of The Witcher, Wild Hunt's my favourite, I'm sure you're sick of hearing that. But at the end of the 2nd game, the final boss that you got to fight was actually the Golden Dragon. And I really appreciated that, from playing the game. Obviously, I know that these episodes are based on the novels, I know that, but at the same time I've been trying to sort of state that obviously there is elements in there that from playing the games that you're going to recognize. Like, some people get really annoyed and say, but it's not about the games, it's not from the games, and it's just like, yes, but like, hold on a second, I've played the games, all 3 games, and I recognize that there is parts from the games. So just trying to be honest about that. Now, Borch is a character, in case anybody is interested, because I have read the novels. He was actually introduced at the very, very beginning of this novel. And he's also known, in case anybody is interested, as 3 Jackdaws. Now, I have the one that I wanted to show you, is because this is the 2nd novel, called Sword of Destiny, and this was the novel that he was first introduced in. And from what I can remember, it was literally at the very start, the first few pages. And it's these books, in case anybody is interested, they are all actually based on short stories. They're all short stories among each novel, and he was introduced in the first short stories called The Bounds of Reason. So I just thought that I would sort of explain that in case anybody was interested. And as I say, he's also known as 3 Jackdaws as well. And what's really cool, actually, in case anybody's interested in the short story The Bounds of Reason, basically Tia and Fia, the 2 characters, Tia and Fia, that were in this episode. Well, Borch says that it's not actually their real names, but he explains that the reason why he calls them, he's always with them too, obviously, of course, is because that their real names are actually too difficult to pronounce. So I thought that might have been like a little cool sort of thing to throw in case anybody is interested that maybe hasn't read the novels, because I always try within these reviews to sort of mention things about the books or any differences or anything, just as and when I sort of can, basically. And you know, in the books, or in this book, sorry, as well, you know, Geralt says to Borch, you know, he doesn't kill dragons. You know, I don't kill dragons, and that's pretty much the response that he got when he was at the tavern. And I was sort of, you know, preemptively awaiting that. You know, when he said, you know, about this whole dragon, the green dragon that has escaped and everything. He said, you know, pretty much, I don't kill dragons. So I was waiting, thinking he's bound to say something here like, that's not what I do, or I'm not a dragon slayer, or I don't kill dragons, or, you know, I was waiting for something specifically along those lines. And I do have my notes with me because my memory is like a goldfish, as I always do. And he actually refers to Tia and Fia in the Sword of Destiny novel as his weapons, and basically they are very, very skilled, highly skilled sword fighters, which I'm sure obviously he's kind of grasped that from this episode, and they are very highly skilled and trained fighters just in general. He asked Geralt to take part in this game of, you know, finding the dragon and everything. So Yennefer happened to also be participating in this game as well. And something that I really just loved as well, especially in this episode, but just in the episodes in general, something that I've noticed is her costumes are very much so super close to how she looks and how her costumes are in the games. Even like, for example, her jewelry and like her necklace and stuff like that, and the fur and everything. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but I absolutely loved how she looked in this episode in specific. And I think that I really have grown to really love her character, even though I absolutely love Geralt and Ciri. I really have grown to just love her character so much, and I think that she just gets better as the episodes have kind of came across. I hope that makes sense. And Yarpen is a character, a really funny dude that I want to mention. He was brilliantly casted. I thought he was really good in this, how he portrayed his role, and he cracks me up. He was hilarious in this episode, and he's brilliant. And he actually was in the games as well. So again, you know, from playing these games, I super appreciated that. But not only that, he actually was also introduced at the very beginning of that short story that I was telling you about, the very beginning of the book, of the novel, Sword of Destiny. And one thing I really want to say, and also he is, of course, as you realised, but he's obviously a dragon slayer. But one thing I want to just really quickly touch upon that I think is super important is that if anybody is very keen to do some reading or anything like that, I think honestly the only thing you really need to do, because of this whole entire series, you know, episode 1 to 8, if you literally even just read The Last Wish, I always keep going to say The Last Witch because The Witcher, but anyway, The Last Wish, and also Sword of Destiny, if you were to sit and read literally just those two books, if you had the time, like, you'll sit and you'll be like, oh yeah, the books, oh yeah, I remember that, or something, you know. And I just think that some of you actually might find that really interesting. And even if you're not a big book reader, because I'll hold my hands up and be genuinely honest, guys, I'm not actually a book reader, but if there's something I'm really interested in, I'll read it, if that makes sense. And I actually obviously played the games first, and then that I always wanted to pick them up. I just was something that I always really wanted to do. And then when I had seen the very first trailer of this series and it looked really promising, I thought, you know what, now is better time than ever. I wanted to order them anyways, so you know, I got the whole lot of them and I really enjoyed them. And I think that I'm so happy I done it, because you know, it's kind of cool just kind of sometimes think that I think I have an idea of what she's going to say or what he's going to say, or oh my gosh, that is the exact line from the book, that such and such novel or whatever. But yeah, and I really love Ciri. I think she's a fantastic little actress. I apologise, I really should have looked her name up by now, but the little girl that plays her, fantastic. And as I've said before, her little wee face reminds me of Ciri when she was young. You know, when obviously you got to see Geralt train her in Wild Hunt, and I really love her in Wild Hunt, and I've shown before, I actually have a figurine of Ciri from Wild Hunt game. And obviously she went with Mousesack in this episode, and then after tricking him with a question, you know, she was talking like about Cinder and stuff like that, and then because of his response and his answer, she realised this is not Mousesack, it's not. And I thought that Dara, I love her, you know, friendship and closeness with Dara, and I really like their interactions and sort of relationship, and I think it was super sweet the way he saved her and just the closeness that they, you know, sort of have together. But I really loved, I think, the interactions with so many of the characters in this episode, and it wasn't overpowered with characters because I think that they blended them all in well together. You know, it wasn't, you know, sort of overboard, there's too much going on or anything. I think they sort of gelled everything in together well, and I really love I love the interactions in general. Of course, relationship between Geralt and Dandelion. I call him Dandelion because that's what he's called in the novels. But yeah, Dandelion, and who of course is the bard, and Geralt, but also Geralt and Yennefer. I think it's just getting better and better with those two. And I really love when she asked, you know, do you regret becoming a Witcher? And he said, you know, it's hard to regret something that you didn't choose. And I love that line in general also because, you know, obviously that's just so true in life in general. It is hard to regret something, you know, that you didn't choose in life, basically. But I just think Henry Cavill, I'm so glad that he got the role, and he actually wanted to play this role. I know I've mentioned this many times before, but he actually approached them and was like, I want to be Geralt. I've played, you know, the games and everything. I've played them. I'm a gamer. His father read him fantasy novels from he was a very young child. So with this obviously being in the fantasy realm, he really, you know, wanted to do it. And something that is kind of like weird is people are saying that this is very like Game of Thrones novels, and I find that kind of weird because Andrzej Sapkowski actually wrote the novels before. So I want to just talk about parts that I just thought were just super funny, you know, apart from the visuals and the landscape and the fact that it was well written this episode. You know, I thought that honestly the whole season, obviously I'm not going to get into episodes 7 and 8 just yet, but I honestly thought that so much respect was given for the novels, and I'm glad that they haven't went really off skew or anything. I have been so happy as, you know, a reader of the books and also enjoying the games. I have really respected how they have been respectful towards that, and they wrote it all so well to the point where you just feel so happy with it, and you're thinking as a fan, they done that so damn well, and they done it so right. Like as I was saying earlier, you know, taking direct lines and everything from the novels and just putting it right in there, almost to the point where you're like, oh cool, I was hoping Geralt was going to say that as a response, and I knew that was coming, and you're sort of laughing before the line even comes up. But yeah, I want to mention now just parts I really enjoyed because they were funny. So these are just funny parts that I thought were worth a mention, guys. So a lot of them are obviously, pretty much all of them actually, I think, are Dandelion. Yes, they are. So when Dandelion was in the tavern and he said, you have a sexy neck like a sexy goose, and honestly he cracks me up. I busted out laughing when I said that, and he is super funny, and he's so like how his character is in the books because he never shuts his gosh damn mouth, and he reminds me of a female version of me. Like this dude, honestly guys, is literally me. Because even in the books, you know, Geralt's having to tell him sometimes, but sometimes politely, you know, he's just sort of saying like, you know, a minute, you know, because other people are trying to speak, wait a minute sort of thing. So he's always having to tell him to stop talking while other people are trying to tell a story, or other people are trying to talk and things like that. And I like how he has portrayed his character so well, and the actor who's playing him, sorry guys, I do know his name, but I just can't remember at the moment, it's getting late, but he's been fantastic at playing Dandelion, and I'm really happy with him. And also when Yennefer was pissed off at Geralt because, of course, of the wish that he made with the djinn, and she walked away and was really pissed off at him, and Dandelion, of course, because he can never stop talking, he's like, oh, what a day. And then the way Geralt just snapped at him was such one of them classic moments. And then he shouted at him saying, why is it when I find myself in a pile of shit, it's always you shoveling it? Honestly, that was absolutely hilarious. These are literally all Dandelion and Geralt sort of thing. But then Dandelion as well, when he said, life is short. And Geralt said, are you composing your next song? That was absolutely hilarious because, of course, he's a bard. He's a minstrel. That's what he does. He writes songs. And he really didn't like that. He was really like, you're so rude sort of thing. You could tell it in his face. But honestly, I love that. See, I was concerned in ways before this came out because I was thinking, I really want to like this, and I love fantasy and everything like that, and I hope that it's going to turn out well. But I honestly did not expect it to be as wow as this, and I didn't honestly think that they would have respected it as well as what they have, and they really honestly had. Like, honestly, this was only like wee small things I was thinking that I hope didn't happen. I'm not saying I thought they were going to happen. I'm saying I was hoping in the back of my mind that, you know, they stick to the story, they don't go off skew like crazy, or they don't go try and do wokeness or anything like that there. Like, I honestly didn't think they would go woke, and they haven't. I know there has been certain people crying and saying, oh, this character and that character, and oh, it's woke, it's wokeness and whatever. It actually isn't. And you all know, guys, that I'd be the first person to come on and be like, it was freaking woke. Do you know what I mean? It was woke AF. But this was not. This was not. So I'm not going to say it was, because it's not, in my opinion. And I also loved episode 7 and 8. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it because this is just episode 6. But honestly, from the whole entire series, it was without a shadow of a doubt episode 6 that done it for me. Like, oh my gosh, that gold dragon. Oh my days. Visually, that was top notch. It was stunning. The whole cave scene. Geralt, Yennefer, Tia, Fia, everything going on. This episode had it going on, quite literally is what I'm trying to say. I would easily just go back and rewatch that episode maybe another couple of times. I actually might do that because it was such a fun episode that I thoroughly enjoyed watching. All the characters were just really well interacting with each other. It was really well written, to be honest, which I actually appreciated probably so much. But as well, because I love Lord of the Rings, seeing all the visuals and the landscape, maybe it's just me, but I was getting the Lord of the Rings kind of vibes going on with it. And there was humour in this episode as well. You know, that's the thing, like, this episode was very funny, but yet it was just mind-blowing with the visuals, with the landscape, with the humour and everything. And it wasn't done in a cringy way or anything, or too much or overkill, because if you think about it, there was an awful lot of characters within this episode, but yet you wouldn't have really overly noticed it at the time because of how well they brought it all together throughout it from beginning to end, basically. I actually don't have any fault with this episode, as you can probably tell, and normally I wouldn't really rate, you know, sort of an episode of a TV show or anything like that I'm watching. But if I had to, I would give this a 10 out of 10. And that is just my out and out honest opinion. Please let me know what you thought of this. I got overly excited because I don't really know anybody that's actually watching this series, but when someone says to me like, I'm watching The Witcher, it's like, oh, episode 6, and I'll say to them like, have you seen episode 6? And I'd done that. I was actually in my auntie's house about roughly a week ago, and my 2 younger cousins were there, and I had said to my cousin Christopher, I was like, just randomly, have you seen The Witcher? He's like, yeah. I'm like, episode 6. And I was kind of disappointed because I'm only on episode 4. I was like, you're already on episode 4? But I was like, yeah, you'll love episode 6. And then he was like asking me questions like, is the bard going to be in it? Then my other cousin came down and I was asking him, you know, have you seen The Witcher? Like, yes, I finished it. And then I said, obviously, you know, don't say to your brother, like, but what wasn't episode 6 freaking awesome? Oh, hectic freaking well yes from me. There is no negativity going on in this video. Guys, you know what it's like from me. If I'm going to be positive about if something's positive, I'm going to come on and tell you I freaking well loved it. If I don't like something, I'd come on and tell you it was bullshit. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing you're going to get with my channel. I am just blunt as you're going to get them, and that's what I always want to do on my channel. I don't want to come on and say I like something if I didn't like it just because other people say or whatever, but I genuinely really enjoyed myself watching this whole series, and yeah, just wow, this episode, freaking wow. Let me know what you all think down in the comment section below, and I will see you all really soon for my next video, and I will get the 7th and 8th episode up hopefully within the next week or so. But until my next video, don't forget that the Force will be with you always, because it was 100% with episode 6 of Netflix's The Witcher. Bye guys!